Try again. Hey, what's happening, y'all? And welcome to Story Time with Julian. It is episode 89. Yeah, yeah. And we are still in our anniversary week. For those of you all who were here on Tuesday, you got to witness a wonderful, wonderful show with author Crystal Wilkinson. And man, when I tell you she was every bit of everything, just a truly, truly epic guest to have on. She was so generous with her time, with her process, with her information, and we cannot wait to have her back on. For those of you all who were there, you may have recalled that we were trying to post a link to her upcoming book where you can pre-order her upcoming book, Perfect Black. We're going to make sure that we post that link within today's show as well. But today's show, all right, this show is in honor of our very own Angel Monique, the author, the confectioner, the botanist, the performer, the singer, the music manager, all of those wonderful things, and of course the author of The Tempering of Chocolate, which is just one of the wonderful things that she has brought forth to this show. And we're so excited to be able to acknowledge and celebrate her. Now, for those of you who don't know, Angel is a part of the Storytime with Julian fam, the staff that kind of works behind the scenes to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And so with this show falling on the exact date of her birthday, we want to honor her as an author, but we also just going to honor her as a fam. So it was like, Angel, what's your choice? What is it's your show, Angel? What do you want us to read? And so Angel had a couple of things in mind. She asked, had we read everything from the heads of the colored people, and had we read everything from a couple of other books? But then after having experienced the magnificence that was Crystal Wilkinson, she decided that there was a short in the book Gumbo. Now, we've read from this collection a lot of times, so I'm showing you all the cover. This is Gumbo because I want you to know what it looks like when you're perusing the aisles and the shelves of your local black bookstore, so you can just go on and pick that up. But she decided that there was a Crystal Wilkinson story in Gumbo. So tonight, one of the things we will be reading is My Girl Mona by Crystal Wilkinson from that is as it appears here in Gumbo. The other thing that we're going to read tonight that I'm really excited about is the latest installment of The Tempering of Chocolate. Now, for those of you all who have been a part of this, The Tempering of Chocolate is who've been paying attention. Tempering of Chocolate is this wonderful story that Angel has been building over some time, and we're going to have her on later. I want to make sure that she's all right with coming on camera, so I'm actually sending a message right now, like, you good? To make sure that she's all good with coming on camera, so that we can make that happen, so that she can introduce The Tempering of Chocolate for those of you all who haven't heard, and kind of get y'all caught up on what we're about to hear. But first, we're going to read this little excerpt from Gumbo, all right? Let me check in and see who all's in the place. The numbers are looking a little bit on the lightweight side, but let's see. Erica Yolita is proclaiming, yes, I forgot to say that part. That part, let me hold up. Let me bring that on screen. I got excited. I got ahead of myself and got excited. Let me make sure to show you all, for those of you who are coming in a little bit late. Yesterday actually marked the end of our spring book drive, and I'm pleased to announce that this is as of the most recent numbers that I have, that we have gotten, that through your donations and through your nominations, we put 145 Black authored books in the hands of 145 Black kids, and that's thanks to you and you and you and you, and for all of you who notified your friends, who nominated their kids, who spread the word and sent the flyers out and made sure the donations were made. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This could not have happened without you, and we are so grateful and thankful for all of your support. And this is an annual thing, so we're going to try and do it again next year, and next year we might try and go bigger. We should try and go bigger. Why not? We should be always striving and growing and moving ahead. But just really, really, I was sitting over here saying thank you and pointing and stuff, and just realized the graphics on the screen, y'all couldn't see me pointing anyway. But thank you, you and you and you and you and you. Oh, and you a little bit. No, thank all of you for everything that you did to contribute to this. We are excited to dive right in to Angel's first selection, Angel's first choice. Let me see. I was supposed to be acknowledging everybody. So we got Erica Yolita. We've got Gina. Gina is here. We ain't seen Gina in a minute. Hey, Gina Gems. What's going on? It's so good to see you. And you had a birthday too recently. So happy belated to you, Gina Gems. We're really, really happy to see you. We see Homie Lou here watching us on YouTube. That's what's up. Good to see Kitty Foxy in the building. Great to see Kamisha Umstead also wishing Angel a happy birthday. And yeah, by all means, throw your birthday wishes up. And you know what? You can make your birthday wishes go jangalang. You could. Just, a dollar make a holler. If it takes bands, it'll make a dance. I'm just saying. She from Louisiana, so she knows some things. But yeah, if you wanna make your happy birthday a little bit more monetary, you can hit that Cash App that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen and make sure that you tip her not as a griot, not just as a griot, but also as your beloved friend. You can do that. We support that. We're all about that. And if you look on the actual page at the birthday post, you'll see that there is published an Amazon wish list. Angel Monique loves, among other things, books, and I know that there are several on that list. So if y'all want to hit up that list, that's a thing that you can do as well. Good to see Marie Toussaint here. Good to see, well, of course, we see Angel Monique. Good to see you here. And I think we already said what's up to Kitty Foxy. I'm not sure why Erica Goodman is washing hands, but that's okay. That's all right. And good to see Joker here saying that happy belated to Gina. Go ahead and flash that on screen. Plat out. And I'm just really, really excited about tonight. And honestly, I'm excited about reading this Crystal Wilkinson story because if you've paid attention over the last few times that we read her, she's dope. Like, she's a bomb writer. But really, for real, I can't wait to dive back into this world of chocolate with the tempering of chocolate. So we're going to move through that so we can do that. All right. So let's go ahead and get it started. We're going to first set up the first story, My Girl Mona, by Crystal Wilkinson, as it is printed in the collection Gumbo. That is one of them. I'm gonna remove the glasses for this one because it's a little tough on the eyes. He's short and bald, round like a black snowman, but handsome. He's my head doctor, the third psychiatrist I've seen this year. The doctor leans back in his soft green leather chair and brings the tips of his fingers together like he's wise. He's not the smiley type. He nods that that's my cue to start talking. Mona is 43 and still got the kind of body that makes brothers act a fool, I say. I look at Doctor like, you know what I'm saying? Doctor clears his throat. We were sitting in that little diner off US 150 catching up like we do once a month, I tell him. I was sipping my 7-Up trying not to think about how much better Mona looks than me. More kids, more husbands, but she still looks like she did in junior high. Dark skin, perky titties, a waist that curves in tight then fans out into an hourglass hips for miles. The doctor says I'm having panic attacks, I tell Mona, and I go through the rigmarole of symptoms, heart flutters, dizzy spells, the sweats, an odd feeling of otherworldliness. When I say otherworldliness, Mona looks at me like she's being held hostage, but I keep talking. She takes a toke off her third cigarette, which takes away from her good looks. I've heard brothers say that about her. Wrinkling up their noses like smoking a cancer stick sends Mona from fine to ugly that quick. You know what I mean? I say to Doctor, not as a real question, but just to be saying it. He just nods like he knows. The waitress, who is skinny, her collarbones show through her tight-knit blouse, freshens Mona's coffee with a trembling hand like the pot is full of rocks. She looks at Mona with an eyebrow raised. Mona, with all her flash, is a fish out of water in Stanford now. Mona's always been a part of my life, I say to Doctor. I still see us as little girls somehow, even now when we get together. Doesn't seem that long ago when we played down by the old cemetery or recited our memorized verses in unison in front of God and everybody in the church, but it's been almost 30 years now. I was the everyday girl. Not bony, not fat, not dark, not light. The girl who carried her opinions in her neck. Right here, I say to him and press my fingers into the center of my throat. A big old knot. You were training for panic attacks even then, Doctor says. Doctor, she was something, I say. Mona was the one who could draw everybody's eye across the room. Back when everybody was trying to have that perfect Angela Davis fro, Mona opted for the Farrah Fawcett look even before it caught on. She had long, dark hair for a sister down past her shoulders. Mona was always trying to shellac her skin with lightener, but I loved her walnut hull brown. She was the first black girl in Stanford to be prom queen. Mona was always first. The first to get her period, the first to sprout butts and tits, the first to do it. If Doctor had been a light-skinned brother or a white man, he would have turned red. The summer I turned 14, Junior, my husband to this day, was the one boy we could tolerate. He was the kind of boy who was all boy but could hang out with the girls without grabbing his private place. He wasn't like all them other nappy heads who played kickball under the streetlight. The girls would sit on the curb in our halter tops and hot pants, trading pull-out posters from Right On magazine, swapping Ricky Silvers for Michael Jackson, and listening to the Ohio Players on Mona's 8-track. When the game was over, the boys turned their attention to us. We all stayed out until our mamas called us home, or until the mosquitoes started biting so hard that we would all run home itching, whelps rising up all over our little hot bodies. That year seemed like me and Mona spent every day of our lives wondering what it would be like to be kissed by a boy. We watched our mama's stories on TV and read the dirty parts of every romance book we could find. We wondered what doing it really was, even though neither of us wanted that label that came with girls who let boys touch. But we already knew there were girls like Jeanette Stokes who actually went into one of the unlocked cars parked along the street and let a boy untie her top so he could see her breasts. And she let one of the boys she really liked finger her in the dark. The ironic thing about it, though, was even through all that, Janine Stokes was still a virgin when we graduated high school, but Mona wasn't. Doctor catches me remembering staring off into empty space that makes up my yesterdays, and then I come on back. Through the smoke cloud, Mona strokes her red acrylic nails, extends them out like crawdad claws to pick up her knife, and cuts her chicken sandwich, I continue telling Doctor. She clears her throat and fidgets with the collar of her blouse, then smooths invisible wrinkles from her skirt. I know she can't wait for me to hush, but I keep on talking like my life depends on it. Imagine that, I tell her. Hell, I've never had anything like this before. Junior had to take me to the emergency room the first time it happened. I thought I was having a heart attack. I've always been healthy. No, never had anything like this before. Not when cancer took grandmama or when they fired me up from the factory. They said it was a permanent layoff. Not even when Junior messed around on me with that white woman. That bit of juice gets Mona's attention, and I stop talking for just a second before I start back up, timing it just right, making sure it's not long enough for her to jump in. Oh, I guess shit happens, I say. I guess I'm getting older. Right at that moment, as always, I'm trying to figure out on my own exactly why Mona's been my girl all these years. And why do you think that is? Doctor asks me, leaning forward like he's getting close to an answer. So that I can see I'm making Mona nervous, I continue telling him. I'm waiting for Mona to chime in with a friend's concern, or at least to tell me how sorry she is to hear about my nervous condition, but she don't. I'm waiting to hear, what are you gonna do? Is there anything I can do? Can they give you something for it? But her mascara-rimmed eyes are meddling with the people eating in the booths around us, flirting with Mr. Taylor, who's stuffing a hamburger in his mouth, mustard running down his chin, nodding hello to Kaylee Summer, who owns the restaurant. We went to school with Kaylee. She saunters by with a large orange tray filled with hamburgers and fries held high above her head, her flabby arms flopping in her own wind. I guess we're all getting old, getting fat. Mona's not even listening to me. When she looks back in my directions, I switch subjects and tell her about Junior's teaching job up at the middle school. He's one of the first black teachers in the country. Did you know that, Doctor? No, I didn't. That's interesting. I tell her about Daddy's trip to the hospital with appendicitis. I finish by telling her about my daughter, Shauna, getting caught shoplifting in Lexington. She's driving us crazy, I say. We had to go up there and get a hotel for 2 days just to get it all straightened out. But all of these are things Mona probably already knows from the newspaper or the grapevine. Nobody's business is sacred in a small town. I can see that I've got Doctor's full attention. He's looking at me starry-eyed like a boy listening to a tall tale. By the end of that summer, all of us girls had at least been kissed, I tell him. Even Candy Patton, the quietest, most religious among us, prayed for 7 straight days not to go to hell because she let Peanut rub her ass. It's all right, they married now. I should have said hind end in front of Doctor, but I didn't. I was comfortable like we were old friends. Somehow we willed the girlness out of our bodies, I say. Instead of playing hide and go seek or hopscotch or Chinese jump rope or watching the boys play kickball in the shadows against somebody's daddy's Plymouth or Nova, we paired up with the boys and kissed. We turned our heads to the side, puckered our lips shut tight so that the boys could keep their germs to themselves. I can't help but to start laughing. Anything else? Doctor says to me, crossing his expensive breeches legs and adjusting himself wide in the chair where I can see the folds of his crotch and not cracking a smile. What do you remember most about this? Tell me everything. Doctor says and reaches over and squeezes my wrist like that's comfort. And it sure enough is. Me and Mona named ourselves the kissing experts after seeing my brother Kiki and his girlfriend Ina on the couch, I say. We crouched outside the doorway of the living room, a place my mother never let us go into. The living room that is always 10 times cleaner than the rest of the house, where the antiques and the good coffee table and the glass-top lamp stood. The centerpiece was the white couch, still covered in plastic that Daddy brought for Mama one year with income tax money. That living room was the show-off room, only reserved for company, especially out-of-town company. It was the one thing my country mother had that rivaled anything belonging to the relatives who would ease back home from Cincinnati, driving their new Cadillacs or Bonnevilles. Kiki met Ina up at the Lexington Mall and drove his green Impala up to see her every weekend. When he brought her home to meet us, Mama told me and Mona to stay out from underfoot and let Kiki have his privacy. But me and Mona were looking through a crack in the door to the living room when Kiki and Ina kissed so much, their tongues going in and out of each other's mouths, that they looked hungry, like two starved people feasting on Christmas dinner. Me and Mona looked at each other horrified at first. But then we were also looking when Kiki's hand rubbed all over Ina like mad and disappeared under her green paisley culottes. We took notes in our diaries and secured our secrets with the turn of a little gold diary key that we wore around our necks. Now we know how it works, Mona said in a whisper, clutching her diary to her chest, her eyes fluttering up toward the ceiling like a prayer had been answered. I nodded yes without speaking a word, stunned, never knowing my brother, who I deemed big nasty for not lifting the seat on the toilet, the one who denied me his barbecue potato chips or candy sticks, the brother who tried to coax me into washing his funky laundry, was capable of making a girl moan and smile the way Ina did. Later that day, Kiki walked hand in hand with Ina all over Stanford. Ina with her fashion model looks and in-style clothes, and Kiki with his football player muscles were a sight to see. Everybody saw them walking down Water to Maxwell Street on their way to Carter's Grocery for ice cream, their perfect 8-inch afros side by side like two black moons. While they were gone, me and Mona pilfered Ina's purse and claimed her Satin Dreams lip gloss for our own. We shared it as a token of our sexual orientation. In secret, we slathered it on our lips and tried to cut our eyes and walk with our hips rocking the way Ina did. We even talked Kiki into driving us to the Lexington Mall one weekend so we could buy ourselves some wooden high-heeled shoes, just like the ones Ina wore with her hip hugger blue jeans. Up until the time Kiki and Ina broke up, me and Mona would stare at her and follow her around when she was in town, hoping to get a hold of some of her 20-year-old womanly secrets. I laugh, and Doctor smiles, then catches himself and takes the smile back quick. I guess he thinks he's not being professional. I'm wishing he would just come off this for a minute and just be the black man that a sister girl needs to share her problems with and not the doctor. So anyway, I say to Doctor, I know Mona's been waiting for the conversation to open up one fraction so she can come in full force and fill it to the brim with her. So I ask her how she's doing. Well, she says, running her fingers through her hair, then patting it down in the front and pursing her lips together to refresh her lipstick. I'm doing fine. No drama, she says. But of course, that's just a warm-up talk. With Mona, there's always drama. Soon, Mona is smiling and gesturing wildly across the table. I listen as she sifts through child support and alimony, great sex, and the kids like she's prom queen again, fake smiling so wide her unsightly dark gums show. It's an unflattering look, and I catch myself relishing in the snickers that Mona doesn't notice coming from two lanky brown girls who are drinking milkshakes across from us. Look at that old lady trying to be hip, is what I'm sure they're saying. Well, maybe hip is not the word they use these days. Mona doesn't seem like she's from Stanford at all anymore. She has swallowed her small town twang and is speaking some generic tone that doesn't even say Lexington. I wonder how she could have moved only 50 miles north of here and be such an outlander. Her clothes are young, a bright blue blouse with enough open buttons to show a peek of the black bra underneath, a tight black skirt that I can only see the beginnings of above the table. Her legs are crossed and one of her white girlish platform shoes is bobbing up and down into the aisle when she talks. Doctor, Mona outgrew me in high school. I just looked up one day and she was a younger version of our mamas, and I was still a girl. It wasn't her body so much, which had blossomed in junior high, but something else. She was suddenly able to hold a gaze with a man without giggling or looking away. I first saw her use it on my brother Kiki, who was 25 at the time. I stopped talking. Continue, doctor says. Interesting, he says like I'm a bug under a microscope, and so I keep on with my story like I have to. Mona stayed over one Saturday night our junior year. I continue, enjoying doctor's full attention. We had planned to stay up all night, cornrow each other's hair, and try on new makeup. But Mona spent the whole night sitting in my bed, straddle-legged in her baby doll pajamas, trying to hold my brother's attention as he walked by the room. She told me she had to use the bathroom, but soon I heard her in Kiki's room. Get out of here, girl, I heard Kiki say through the walls. But soon their voices were lowered, and I could hear the familiar squeaking of the bed and the grunts and snorts that Kiki made when he would sneak girls over. I expected silence from Mona, thought she'd try to protect me from my knowing, but the moaning sounds she made were so loud that I feared my parents would come to investigate. Later, I heard water running in the bathroom, but Mona still brought the smell of sex with her into my bedroom. Y'all out of toilet paper, she said, never saying a word about screwing my brother. I stared at her and rolled my eyes. What? She said. What you think? I said. Didn't nothing happen, she said, but I knew she was lying. After that, I think Mona hoped Kiki would prance her around like he had Ina, but when Mona was around, Kiki would sull up and find a reason to rev up his Impala and be gone. I could tell she was hurt by it all, but she never let on. Even as close as me and Mona were, there were a million miles between us. Keep going, doctor says, prodding out my lifetime. A short time after that, we went skating rink in Danville. I watched Mona skate right over to Junior and rub his chest. Under the black lights and the strobe light flashing with the music playing a slow song, Junior looked as helpless as I felt when Mona kissed him full on the lips. Junior, who was supposed to be my boyfriend, followed her around for weeks, lingering at my locker talking to me, but waiting on Mona to come by. It was clear that Mona really didn't want Junior, that he was being used for target practice. And looking back, I want to think that she didn't mean me any harm, that she was just testing herself, trying to grab back something lost. Junior tells me to this day it wasn't nothing. I married you, didn't I? He says. Leave the past in the past. When he messed around on me, I barely gave him a chance to apologize before I took him back. Doctor says I should have expressed my feelings. Later that night, when Junior holds me in his arms, I will get tickled about that. If I had expressed my feelings, Junior would still have a skillet mark on his head. What you laughing at? Junior will ask me, and I will say nothing. Ever wish you married Mona? I ask him sometimes. Woman, he says back, we were teenagers. Ain't you ever gonna give up on that? Then he kisses me and we make love. But even then, with him on top of me, I am less assured. Feel like I'm a second place trophy. I slow down my story to make sure Doctor's still following me. So when Mona says, darling, I have a blessed life, like she's the Gabor sister from Green Acres or some other made-for-TV white woman, my heart pounds out of my chest and sweat pours down my back. My chest is closing in and I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm sure that any moment somebody in the restaurant will notice my predicament and holler for Callie to call the life squad. I'm waiting for that shift of time when Mona leaves her own world for just a second and notices that I'm in trouble. But nobody notices. All the eyes in that place are darting toward Mona. I don't say a word and just ride that one out. Good, doctor says, louder than I think he means to. You have to teach yourself to do that, to speak to your rational self as you say, write it out. Mona's voice dims to the humming the deep freezer makes when I'm ironing clothes in the basement. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. I say to myself over and over, it's just another spell. It's just another spell. In a matter of minutes that seem to draw out for a lifetime, everything leaves, then becomes clear again. In the parking lot, after we've parted, Mona turns, waves to me, and hollers, "See you next time. I'll let you know about the wedding," she says and winks. There is no, "I hope you feel better," or "let me know how you're doing." I wave back and watch her heels clicking across the asphalt toward her Volvo. I couldn't say anything I had on my mind to say, I tell Doctor. I feel tears rising up in my neck. I see, Doctor says, knocking his posed fingers against his forehead. You did well, though, he says. I think you're getting better. You're gaining control. And you look good today, he adds. Well rested. But I know he's thinking I'm screwed up in the head. He's a brother, too, which makes it worse. There is so much more I want to say. So much more I want to know. I want to ask him if he's married, and if he is, would he cheat on his wife? I'm wondering if he would find Mona attractive. I want to ask him if he's hungry, if he wants to go get a bite to eat, or just talk some more. I want to bury my head into his shoulder and just cry, but I can't. I've already told him too much. In a few minutes, he will write me a prescription, shake my hand, and schedule me another appointment. But before that moment, he gives me a smile, a genuine smile that I snuggle in and feel clear down to my toes. And I'm waiting with hope for what comes next. And thus endeth the story. So you all have just heard my girl Mona. This is another one from new friend of the show and new fave of the show, Crystal Wilkinson. You can find this story in the collection Gumbo, as I showed you before. But going by the character, I believe this one is from Water Street. So in addition to finding it on Gumbo, and it looks like I'm frozen again, in addition to finding it on Gumbo, you'll be able to find it on Water Street. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Now, let me go. I want to check the comments briefly and just kind of see what we're talking about here. Let's see what's going on. Got quite a few comments. I see that a lot of happy birthday comments. Hold on, I gotta put the glasses on. This is a daggone shame. Clearly, we're gonna have to make a change. Let's see. We see Mika Poppins is joined and Daisy Hurst is here. Target practice. Yeah, I like that line too. Angel Monique responds with, "Whew," which I'm guessing has to do with the overall end of the story and that experience of a panic attack. I believe this is Gwen who hit up with the applause there. I like that little avatar. I don't know what that is, but I dig it. Let's see. Erica Yolita says, "Ain't that the truth? Nobody's business is sacred in a small town." Yeah, that line was nice, and it is really indicative of the atmosphere that that Wilkinson sets up for these small towns. I don't know if this story happens in opulence. It sounds like this one happens in Stanford, and if I recall correctly, Stamford is from is Water Street. Let's see. Latricia asked, "Is Mona the grown-up baby you read about on Tuesday?" Absolutely. If you recall, Sister Crystal, as I like to call her, Sister Crystal confirmed for us that Mona grows up, and we kind of get that in the opulence we get the prequel of Mona and Lucy, I believe, but that Mona is the same Mona. So yeah, that's them. If you're interested in getting that book, Water Street, a wonderful book by Crystal Wilkinson, you can find it at Harriet's Bookshop. For those of you who are following along on Facebook, you can go ahead and click that link. And we also want to make sure to put up the link for how you can pre-order. I know we had it up at the end of the last show, but before this show is done, I want to put up the link for how you can pre-order her upcoming collection, which is called Perfect Black. Now, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Angel says, "That's my mommy." Does that mean that Daisy? This is that Daisy of Daisy B. I miss Daisy. I'm so glad that you're here to join us on this wonderful occasion, and thank you for the hard work you did those years ago to deliver your lovely and wonderful and precious daughter into the world. She has been a blessing and a gift to this community, absolutely beyond measure. And she says hi, mommy, to you. So we're gonna go ahead and flash that up on the screen. We'll flash up both versions so you can see her face. That's my mommy. Hi, mommy, says Angel. All right, now I've got to do a little bit of housekeeping. So you guys have got to bear with me for just a moment because it occurs for me that I'm slipping a little bit. I'm a little off my game in certain areas, and I need to send the invitation to Sister Angel so that she can join us on screen. And I'm going to try and make that happen right quick, and see if I can't get this to behave duly and in order, because the messages app sometimes wants to act up, and I don't want anything crashing on us. Um, hi, how am I? I am great. I am thrilled to the gills, as I heard on, I don't know, maybe the Little Mermaid. I am thrilled to the gills that you are here. I'm just tickled and delighted that you would join us. I want to make sure that let me send this notification right now so that Angel can be sure to join us in the actual on screen. Should you be so inclined. I feel like you all are going to need that setup so that you know what's going on. So let's make that happen real quick. Um, I am sending it right now. So, Angel, if you would check your messages on the Book of Faces. I'm not sure which version because you got a couple of identities. But if you check your messages on the Book of Faces, you will have that link, and we're going to get ready for the next reading. Give me some more of your thoughts though on this one. What how do does I can't imagine that is an unshared experience, right? I have to imagine that we all kind of have that friend who we love them dearly. They've been, tight, my man 50 grand, ace boom coon, whatever you might want to call, for ages, but there's a little bit of that rivalry now. And I've heard it argued that real friends don't behave that way, but I think human beings are human beings, and I think that from time to time, hey Angel, I think that I see that you're here. We're going to log you in just a second. I think that from time to time, even among the best of friends, you're going to find moments, little twinges of why not me? Because when you are that close, when you're that close together, it almost feels like if something good happens to one, that something good would happen to both. Because in many ways, you roll in the same circles, you share some of the same behaviors, some of the same ways of being. So why would you not share some of the same fortunes? And sometimes it just doesn't rock like that. So I can imagine that would be difficult. But well, we can talk about that a little bit in the after story for those who are apart. But right now, what I am most excited to do is this right here. Let me go ahead and add to the stream our own Angel Monique. How you doing, Angel?
Hi. Hi,
Happy
everybody.
happy birthday, and thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
tonight. We are excited that we get to dive into yet another passage, another excerpt from The Tempering of Chocolate. Now, this is a really lush and rich story world that you've built here. Can you give a little bit of insight and a little bit of detail to kind of catch up people who haven't necessarily, maybe they didn't hear chapters 1 through 4?
Okay, so this is a continuation of the end of chapter 4. So we know at the end of chapter 4, we find out who the babies are, and we get to find out what happens to Jonathan, who is one of the men who have chased Coco through the swamp at the very beginning. So
Okay.
we know that the house and Coco have a special relationship,
Now
and
remind people again who Coco is.
Coco is our protagonist. She's a chocolatier of sorts, of sorts.
Of
That has
sorts.
not
All
that
right.
has yet to be revealed, but she
Okay.
is a
All right.
chocolatier. She is the granddaughter of Mommy, who will be mentioned a lot. She
Okay.
is connected to this piece of the bayou and this really charming, incredible house that sits on the land that belongs to generations of her family.
Okay.
And she is kind of in charge, but not of these incredible five children who spend a lot of time with her, making sure that she's okay and that she is safe whenever uh, this man and his cronies get up to no good. Because Coco is holding on to some really important information that a lot of people want, and so they like to take it from her and also end her life.
Oh,
So
so things are real serious right off the top, is what I'm hearing.
it's business right from the very beginning. Like
It's
literally
business.
from it's business from the very first sentence. It's going down. The very first sentence.
And now, what should we be expecting? Uh, what is? Do we know everything that we need to know to be able to pick up right now?
If you were present for the very for the prologue through chapter 4, then you know everything you need to know. If you were
Okay.
not, then you probably have to go back and listen to that again.
Okay.
Um, but it's set up from the end of chapter 4, where we know that, well, I'll give you this much: Jonathan manages to uh, be a he encounters the children at the end of chapter 4.
He
So
encounters the children.
yeah, he encounters the children at the end of chapter 4. Coco does not know that because she has gone to bed. So that's where we pick up. Coco has gone to bed. We know Coco has a
Okay.
relationship with the house. So that's where we pick up, where you get to find out more about Coco's relationship with the house in this
Okay.
part.
All right. Excellent. And just to be clear, when we're finished with the read, you are going to stick around for a Q&A.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
You'll stick around? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate that. So I'm going to take you off camera now, so you got a little bit of peace, and put you back in the green room. And then when we're done, we're going to pull you back in and take some questions. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Angel Monique, y'all, and it is her birthday. And right quick before we read this story, you could tip her as a Gree, or you could just bless her up because it's her birthday and because we all love her. But this is her Cash App. I'm gonna make sure I got that right. That's not right. Hold on a second. That's not your Cash App.
No, it's 504.
Oh shoot! Hold up. That is stuff that we should. That is a horrible typo. I hope ain't nobody sending money to the wrong people. Please don't send money to that person. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. You got to send me text messages when I mess up like that.
I was worried.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. Let me take you off camera again while I cover my embarrassment. Please don't send money to that other person. It's 504 because that's the area code. And I knew that, and I had wobbly number syndrome is what happened. I have no excuse. Um Ooh, I hope that did not adversely affect things. We're gonna have to do a make right on that. But that being said, Lord help. Without further ado, we're going to give you this excerpt from The Tempering of Chocolate by Angel Monique. Sank. Coco had only been asleep a few hours, but the nightmare she'd had was so vivid that she wasn't sure whether she was dreaming or awake. The rumble of thunder outside was deep and ominous as she struggled to sit up in bed. It was too warm in the room, and her body ached from the run through the swamp earlier in the evening. The mosquitoes had feasted on every inch of her uncovered skin, and she was covered in the telltale welts of their blood draining bites. She knew there was no such thing as vampire mosquitoes, but as groggy as she was, surely the little bloodsuckers had drained enough of her life force to exhaust her. What she had hoped would be a good night's sleep was shaping up to be anything but. She yawned and lifted her arms gingerly to pile her head back into the messy topknot it had fallen out of as she'd moved around in the throes of the nightmare. She was uncomfortable and exhausted, but she was home. Coco stilled and let her thoughts settle on what the taunts had instilled in her and her sisters about what home meant. Being home was permission to be herself full out and freely. It was not only the determination to survive and overcome, but it was the drive to overthrow, conquer, and thrive that made this land so special. The connection to this land, to this home, was permission to be bone, marrow, and sinew here. This land was blood soaked. It held the skin and tissue of all who had toiled here, all whom chanced loving and laughing had passed this way. They had fought here. They had dared speak their language here. They had planted for the bloodless ones by force while singing coded songs. They had secretly adorned and anointed themselves in hidden places for silent ceremonies where they planted and then harvested for themselves while whispering their sacred words of protection, words of vengeance, and then words of deliverance. There were no pretenses, no need for code switching here. In fact, all had been encouraged to speak their first language everywhere they went in the world. Being home was to speak the dialect and speech patterns that connected every soul that belonged to this land, and so she slipped easily into a mixture of her Bayou and her New Orleans. I'm too tired to be awake. I'm not even sure I am awake, and it would be cruel to be this itchy in a dream. I know you wouldn't play me like that. Either way, I'm gonna need you to let me get comfortable because this ain't it, Lord. This can't possibly be the night you want me to have on the eve of my birthday. This whole day has been wild. Nah, come on. And why is it so hot in this room? She lamented. She attempted to settle again when she felt the initial pangs of anxiety. The children. She knew they weren't in the library as she had instructed them to be. She could feel their energy elsewhere in the house. They were afraid, angry. She needed to check on them before she could rest comfortably. They were typically well behaved, but based on what had happened in the backyard earlier that evening, the boys were on 10 and could be up to any level of mischievousness. That meant that Mari would be on 11, and, well, that could be bad for everyone if little Miss found her brothers too annoying. Her mind was still a bit fuzzy, and pieces of the nightmare came flooding back. She saw Charlie standing outside the house in the storm. A flash of lightning lit the sky, and there, just in front of the young boy, was a man whose back was turned to him, attempting to stand to his feet. The anxiety rose to her chest. Charlie, who wore a sinister smile on his young face, was reaching out to touch the man when the dream shifted to the children standing in a place she didn't recognize. They all looked rather somber, and Jack was visibly upset. She didn't know what it meant, but she needed to find out what they were doing. She moved to swing her legs over the side of the bed, but the exhaustion lay atop her like a weighted blanket. Her body felt heavy and uncooperative. She'd fallen a few times as she ran through the swamp tonight. The mud from the swamp floor had clung to her dress, adding a heaviness that made every step of the 3-mile run feel as if her legs were encased in blocks of cement. She felt weak and only had strength enough to lie back and call out their names. "Charlie, Mikey, where are y'all?" she shouted. Just then, stinging pain shot through the scarification just under her left earlobe, and she winced as she placed her hand over it and massaged. Jonathan. He was near. She needed to get up and find out just how near he was. She tried once more to sit up. She had gotten as far as leaning on her elbows when a ceiling fan directly over her bed repeated the familiar click and whir and then began to spin. The room cooled to a pleasant temperature. The pain in her scar, still present, became a dull throb. The down mattress softened under her body, and her body sank deeper into its center. Her pillows grew larger and fluffier around her head, and while the air from the fan created a pleasant sensation that gently pressed her onto her back. "Maybe I'll rest a few minutes, then check on the children. I just need to sleep a little longer to gain some strength," she said through a stifled yawn. As she drifted, another piece of the nightmare revealed itself. Jack and Bovie were standing in a dark, unfamiliar place, holding hands. Jack was crying. Bovie's warm touch was both consoling and reassuring to his little brother, but his eyes were empty and hollow as he sang a song that was hauntingly familiar to her. The anxiety returned stronger now. Coco opened her eyes and struggled to push herself up to her elbows again. I have to get up. Let me get up and check on the children. Once I get them settled, I'll come back and get some rest, she promised. The branches of the 400-year-old magnolia and wisteria trees whipped and swayed in the storm, and she briefly envisioned Mikey as he had been earlier this evening, sitting cradled in their trunks like a tiny maestro directing his peculiar symphony. The trees crescendoed and decrescendoed with the rise and fall of God's breath in the deluge. A window slid open, and she watched as the sheer curtains danced a seductive dance on the clean, damp breeze. The wind blew a storm of purple and cream colored petals from the trees into the opening, and they swayed in motion as a living curtain. Pollen adaged into the room and drifted on the air as it made its way over her head. The yellow mist fell softly onto her cheeks and lashes. An unnoticeable breeze caused by the ceiling fan animated the particles, and they slid gently into her nose, pulling her under. She snuggled into the pillows a bit more and felt the house press in. As she began to drift, the yellow elixir wafted back onto the night. When the window gently shut, leaving the air clean, the petal curtain fell to the floor and Coco's head cleared just enough to realize what was happening. I told you that I need to check on the children, and I know you know where they are. I don't know what y'all are up to, but might I remind you, I'm not a child. I'm a grown woman now, and I can go to bed whenever I want. Coco fussed, and then realized what she sounded like. She yawned and tried a different approach. Jonathan is on the property. I need to find the children. Now, no more shenanigans. I'm getting up. She made another attempt to sit up and managed to move to a reclining position against her pillows. She counted that as a victory and felt a bit more awake. She reached for the cold tumbler of water on the nightside table and watched as it slid to the far side that she was too tired to sit up to reach. She kissed her teeth and murmured, "Cute," as she rolled her eyes. Unfazed, she reached her hand over to touch the condensation left on the table with her fingertips and splashed it onto her face. Eyes still heavy with sleep, breathing shallow with exhaustion, body only held up by the pillows she was reclined on, she took a deep breath and pushed herself up higher. With just the slightest bit of annoyance caused by the dull ache of the scar, wayward children wandering God knows where, the house up to its normal bedtime shenanigans, and Jonathan being nearby, Coco really wasn't up to this tonight. The cool water had revived her a bit, so she took a deep breath and pushed herself away from the pillows on unsteady arms. She swayed, but managed to stay upright. She felt a bit stronger and just the slightest bit bothered that she had to play this game when she could decide when and if she went to sleep. But she knew that her 26 years on this earth was no match for the house. Theirs was a relationship of deep love, mutual respect, and an understanding of how the dynamics of that relationship worked, especially when it came to ensuring her safety and well-being. Sleep was vital to her well-being. Tomorrow was important. She'd need to be well rested and clear headed. They both knew that, but only one of them understood exactly how important it was. Coco had been fighting or avoiding sleep her entire life. Her father loves to tell the story of how he'd allowed her to stay up past 7 p.m. one time and when she was 4 years old, thinking she'd only stay awake an hour later at most. The story goes that he had fallen asleep at 7 p.m. himself. When he opened his eyes again, it was midnight, and 4-year-old Coco was singing to an old R&B infomercial. He awakened just in time to hear her clapping her little hands and then throw them up in the air and exclaim, "No, my brother, you gotta buy your own." And then she broke into fits of giggles. Then she looked over at her father, took his face into her tiny little hands, smiled brightly, and said, "Daddy, you waked up. Hi, Daddy." He chuckled, tugged gently on one of her ponytails, and answered her on a yawn. "Hey, Nightingale, I can't believe you still awake. Let's get you to bed before your mommy wakes up and finds out that I let you stay up so late." "Wait, it's the good part coming up, Daddy. Can we see this part first, please?" she asked sweetly. "Nightingale, if your mama comes down here and finds you awake, She's going to make me sleep in your room for a week, Daddy had said. That's okay, Daddy. We can just have a sleepover and Mommy won't get an invitation. Coco had shrugged her little shoulders and said very matter of factly, Invitation, baby. Daddy had corrected her with a chuckle. That's what I said, Daddy. An invitation. I said that. Didn't you hear me say that? Mommy can't come. She whispered the last sentence to him as if Mommy may have been listening. Yes, you did, Nightingale. And I sure did hear you say that. Looks like your part is coming up. Let's watch so you can go to bed, but we're going to have to whisper it, okay? I'll take the first part. You get the second one. Let's go. With that, Daddy scooped her up in his arms and walked toward the television to turn it off while he whisper sung, Hey, love. And with a click, the television was turned off. With perfect timing and pitch, Coco belted out loudly into the silence, Hey, love. From the far side of the house, they could hear Mommy shout, What's going on down there? Daddy called back, Nothing, baby. I had the television up a little too loud, turned it off just now. I'm going to go check on Nightingale, then I'm coming to bed. They could hear Mommy and Papi's faint laughter from the other side of the house. Daddy owed Papi $20. Coco had heard the men make a bet on how long she could stay awake. Daddy lost. Daddy tried to look sternly at Coco as he carried her up the stairs. Nightingale, you were supposed to sing your part in a whisper. What happened? I don't know. I couldn't help it. I just felt the music too good in my heart, so I had to sing it loud, she repeated. She replied. Then she put her little forehead on Daddy's and whispered loudly, If you get in trouble with Mommy, the invitation for my slumber party still stands, Daddy, and you can stay the whole week. I love you. Then she kissed his cheek and laid her head on his shoulder. Her little body relaxed as he carried her to bed, and she was asleep before he tucked her in. He loved to tell that story and never grew tired, and she never grew tired of hearing him tell it. When she had gotten a bit older and had become long arms and lanky legs draped over whichever lap was available to fall asleep in, she decided she didn't need to be rocked to sleep anymore, but could be rocked, but could be tucked in and fall asleep on her own. It was then that the house had lovingly rocked her to sleep every night, typically after a battle of wills. She was a worthy opponent, but she had never been a match for the hundreds of years the house had stood and many babies it had protected and lovingly seen into sweet slumber. Coco knew that any time she had been able to stay awake, it had been because she was what the house it was what the house had allowed, and she knew that it was always done for her protection. What she was never privy to was what she was being protected from. That part had never been her business, and she had always accepted that until now. A few minutes had passed and she was still sitting upright, so she shakily slid to the edge of the bed. She smelled them before she saw them. The citrusy scent of the magnolia mingled with the honey vanilla of the wisteria and accosted her senses as another gentle gust of wind caused the petals to rise from the floor and fill the room. They swirled on the air and formed a canopy around her bed. The heady scent filled her senses, causing her to feel pleasantly inebriated. She sank into the mattress. The pollen created a hazy yellow film around her and slid into her nose, her ears, her eyes. She could feel herself slipping away from the lucidity she had fought so hard to get to. She was pushing herself deeper into the comfort of the bed when another jolt of pain shot through the scar below her ear. This time it was so intense that she clapped her hand over her mouth to stifle the scream. She bolted upright and felt the heat before her hand. She bolted upright and felt the heat before her hand could touch the spot that the pain radiated from. Jonathan wasn't just near the property, he was on it. She opened her mouth to call for the children, but slapped her hand over it so as not to alert him to her whereabouts in case he had somehow made it inside. He couldn't have. It was impossible. The rain came then, hard and steady. Lightning lit up the sky and the bayou churned. Her heart raced and she could feel perspiration beginning on her brow. She tried to swallow, but her throat had gone dry. The same panic she'd felt in the swamp had returned, sharper this time. A clap of thunder sounded loudly, and she bolted out of bed, pushing past the wall of petals that went fluttering to the floor, each emitting a sound like a cacophony of frightened butterflies. She was on her feet now. Thinking quickly, she grabbed the flashlight that she kept on the floor beside the night table and ran for the door. Just before opening it, she stopped and said a quick prayer. She'd done a lot of praying today. She thanked God for seeing her through the dangers of the swamp this evening and asked that he'd see her and the children through the rest of the night. She didn't want to think what would happen if she encountered Jonathan or the bad one on the property, and certainly not in the house. No one should ever make it into the house without being invited, but if they did, she vowed they would never make it out. She didn't understand any of this was happening. She didn't understand how any of this was happening, but she knew that things were out of place now, and she was afraid. She didn't know fear here, not in the house, not on her family's land, yet here it was, and she didn't know where the children were. She took a steadying breath, took a bit of comfort from the weight of that flashlight in her hands, and whispered, God, you said you'd never give me more than I can handle. Are you here now? She opened the door and stepped out into the hallway, just in time to hear the faraway cry of a man whose voice she did not recognize. The pain from the scar stopped her in her tracks. She held on to the wall until it passed. All she could think about was the children. Nothing else mattered, so she ran aimlessly looking for them. She ran through the house, comme un chauve-souris d'enfer. And thus endeth the story. Y'all just heard an excerpt of The Tempering of Chocolate by our very own Angel Monique. That was an exciting and wonderful section. Hold on a second. Let me get the glasses up so that I can read all the comments and see what we got. And let's bring back to the show. Let's bring her back to the screen, Miss Angel Monique herself. Hey, Angel. Wait,
Oops,
hold on.
there.
There you
Hello.
go. There you go. So that was fantastic to read. I want to take a minute
Thank
to kind of
you.
go through the comments and see what we said. First of all, I got cracked on accordingly for getting, and that's fine. I understand.
Corey.
If that wasn't my boy, I would feel a type of way. I would, but I got love for Corey, so it's all good. Um, let's see. Judy Lee says she loves the way that the house fluffs her bed. She could use some of that.
Right?
Latricia says, so all those times I was too sleepy to go to work, it was really my house.
It was the house.
It was just about the house. Now, Marie says, Coco says she got you. I'm trying to remember what that part is, so remind me. But Kamisha Umstead says, brava.
Thank
Uh,
you, Peach.
Corey wants more. Shakira says, that was so good. Your family, when they show up and show out, don't they? I love it. I love it.
Do.
We got a little bit of angst about the cliffhanger, and I'm right here with you. I'm really kind of like, how you gonna give us a scream and then be like, and the end? But that's all right. That's okay. We'll take what we can get as we get it. L. Jack says, brilliance, Chica. Angela
Thank
Lee Rain
you.
says, lovely story. And Shakira says, yay, go mommy. Oh, okay,
Thank
with her father. She
you.
got you. I got you. That's what it is. I got you. You don't worry if you ain't got no bed. You got the whole sleepover thing is still there. That's what's okay. All right. So I can imagine that there are some questions, but before we go into any specific questions from the audience, I just want to ask a couple, if I may.
Hmm.
Where do we see this going? Like, what can you tell us about what comes next? I know that you keep it close to the vest. I know you play it close to the vest, but you really
Yes,
left us here on a cliffhanger.
I
Now,
did.
I remember chapter 4, and what I recall from chapter 4. May I share that? What I remember with the
Yes.
audience. So, what I
Yes.
recall from chapter 4 was after Mari got the boys together and let them know about themselves and how they was getting on her nerves. They all decided that it was time that they needed to deal with the issue that was troubling Coco. And right about that time, the bad man, not the big bad man, but the other bad, Jonathan,
Jonathan, yes.
is sneaking around the grounds, and he had seen them. He had seen all the strange wonders of what the kids were doing in that
Yes.
environment. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna go check this out. And so then, as he's snooping around, a part of the house opens up. Is that right? Did I have it right? And he falls into a basement cellar type
He got
situation.
pushed in. He
He got
didn't
pushed
know
in.
that it was there. He got Charlie pushed him in.
So Charlie
So
pushes him.
what is happening is while she's in bed, these things are happening simultaneously. So the nightmare she thinks she's having is
Uh-huh.
actually occurring. So while she sees Charlie outside pushing him out, In chapter 4, that's actually happening. He actually, if you remember chapter 4, Charlie is outside, and when the lightning happens, is when Jonathan sees Charlie behind him, and he does push him into
Okay.
this opening in somewhere in the house. Except Coco does not know that that space exists. She's not familiar with that space.
Oh, so the house keeping secrets.
Yes.
Okay, so
Hmm.
this is not a nightmare that's being revealed to her. She's just experiencing
She's
it.
experiencing it, but
She's
she
having
thinks
like
it's a
a vision,
nightmare.
and it's
Yes.
happening exactly the same time.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so when she hears that scream, that is
She is
whatever
hearing the
them.
house. Well, in chapter 4, the house swallows Jonathan.
That's okay. So the house that okay. I remember when we read chapter 4, I was like, wait a minute, what them kids do to that man? I did, I wasn't
They
sure. I
did
knew
some
some
things. Yeah.
they so prior to the house swallowing Jonathan, some things were done.
They scared him a little bit. They had chat with him.
Will
He's
we
really afraid of Mari mostly.
okay, now so tell us about Mari, because in this excerpt that we read,
Hmm.
you say that it would be bad for everybody if Lil Miss, who was cranked up to 11, found her brothers too annoying. And I
Yes.
recall that she not in the sense of that song, yeah, but she has a thunderclap of sorts. Like
Yes.
she so help can we know a little bit more about what Mari has going on? Just a little,
So
just
just a tiny bit, because I
okay.
don't really want to reveal a whole lot about Mari. Mari is the youngest. I'll say that much. She's the youngest.
Okay.
Um, and she is the most powerful of them all. So when she clapped that night in the backyard, she didn't affect the children, but if you remember, she tells Coco to cover her ears.
She did, yes.
Yeah, she is able to bend energy, and so everything
Okay.
bends. Everything does. She's really powerful. So she's not someone that you want to upset at all.
Now, does she have an anger management issue?
She does not have an anger management issue. She's just somebody that you don't want to get on her bad side.
Okay, I'm
She's
yeah.
extremely protective of the people that she loves,
Okay.
especially of Coco.
Now, as I listen to you describe Mari, and we all know that writers write themselves into the story. Did you
No,
write yourself in as Coco, or did you write yourself in as Mari, or are you a little bit of both?
I am neither.
You don't think you're either,
No,
huh?
no,
So the hard-headed little girl who's been avoiding sleep her entire life does not resonate with you even a little bit,
she does not at all. No,
huh? So okay, all right then.
it's not me.
You don't never
Mari,
be okay, all right. I no,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
me
Mari,
either.
no, you don't. Mari, Mari
Somebody, well, hold
has
up a second. I'm just gonna say that somebody who you can't deny has said, Angel, that part about Coco and her daddy sounds so familiar.
I don't know what mommy's talking about.
Don't you?
No, I
Okay,
don't.
well, Miss Daisy, she says she don't know what you're talking about. But feel
I
free
don't.
if you'd like to
No,
tell us what
don't
you're talking
invite.
about.
Don't no. Don't invite her to do that. No, don't no. Don't invite her to do that. Who's talking
Inquiring
about
minds
Mari?
want
You
to
asked
know.
about Mari. Mari is each one of the children. For those who were not here for the last time, each one of the
Okay.
children has a characteristic of one of my children. Their names are based on each one of my children.
Right.
There will be one, maybe a few more children that will show up. For sure, one more child will show up. But 5 children, don't put up any more her comments. See, I'm not inviting her back anymore. Five of the children, there are 5 children, and I have 6 children, but because I have a daughter-in-law, but 5 of the children that are there, each one of them, their names are based on my children's names. There is a characteristic of my children. So I have 2 daughters. But
Mhm.
Mari is based on Tink, my daughter Ashante, and she is tiny and she is really powerful in her own right. She is bossy and she has spent her life with boys really getting on her nerves.
I'm just
That's
putting
my
this up on
daughter
the
in law.
screen. Mhm.
That's my ladybug. That's my daughter in law. So that's Mari. Mari is very powerful because my daughter is very powerful.
I love it. I love it. Now
Yeah.
we've got a question here from Judy Lee. Judy Lee asks,
Yes.
is she bending the energy, like catapulting it away from her above the speed of sound? Like how and I don't know, sometimes magic is just magic. How
Hmm.
specific do you get with how you have their powers or their gifts operating?
Some of them are very specific. Some of them are not. Mari, um, I'm not yet ready to say how powerful Mari is, and for several reasons. One, because there are some things I'm not ready to reveal about her yet. Also, because she has not revealed everything about herself to me yet.
I know how that is.
Yeah. Some of
Yes, they
them I just know, like Mikey, we know who he is because basically he pretty much wrote himself.
mhm,
So,
as
I
characters will do,
yeah,
right?
I'm sure there are other things that will come, but at this point I know two of them for sure. I know, specifically things they do. There will be more things that will show up. These children will show up here. These children will show up in other novels to come. They will connect in other places. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions. Um, Not to rush, not to push, but
Hmm.
do you have an outline in place for chapter 6?
Chapter
Are
6 is.
people let me ask you this actually. Let me phrase this a different way. I have no question whatsoever that when this is complete and you are
Hmm.
ready to publish, that everybody in here is going to be ready to buy it. In the
Hmm.
meantime, while you're working on that, you see what I'm saying? Like just confirmation of the Holy Spirit. Look at that. Look at that. Can't wait. Can't wait. In the meantime, are you willing to let us continue serializing this on this program? I mean, like at a certain point, I understand you got to, at a certain point the first one's free, and then you kind of got to make them wait. I get that if
Hmm.
that's the case, but at what point are we gonna get cut off? Because people gonna come on the program. Y'all got any more of them chocolates? And I don't know what to tell them.
Um, there'll be a couple more.
There'll be a couple more.
There'll be a
All right.
couple more. I
Let
feel
us
like
know before you cut us off.
there will be, for sure, there will be one more,
Okay.
and for sure there will be one more
For sure.
because I want y'all to know you still don't know who Coco is, and I want you to know who she is. So there will
Okay.
be one more where you at least get to know who she is and exactly why she is so important. Right now, she's a girl, she's a young woman who is considering moving back into her family's magical home. But there's so much
What's
more
to
to her.
consider? If I had a magical mansion, what's to consider? It's paid for and it's
It's
magic,
a family home of generations. So,
and the alarm system is physically embedded onto my flesh.
yeah,
I
like
live
you
there
don't
forever.
even know exactly what the alarm system is,
I live
and
there
how
forever.
that makes a connection. But there is
Now
at
wait,
least that much to know.
we've got another question about that home. Speaking of,
Hmm.
is this house being controlled by someone like a
I already
certain grand?
told I already told you
Oh, he being
earlier today that
sneaky.
I was not telling you that, Corey.
Oh, and you use my show for these shenanigans?
We didn't
Oh
talk about this
no.
earlier today. I'm
I'm
not doing that.
withdrawing that from the screen. I apologize to you, Angel Monique, the author, to the audience. Sometimes trolls come in and they make bad choices, and I apologize to every.
In the next, in the next, and I'm assuming that the next piece will explain that, but I don't know because sometimes it's kind of disjointed, and I don't know what part will be written next. If that is what happens next, because I do want you all to know who she is, and that part will explain why how the house is doing what it's doing, how those things are occurring, and what it is that Coco is responsible for. That I do want people to know. What she's
Okay.
responsible for. She's really important. She is important to Blackness. That's the part that I really want people to know.
I
She's
feel like
important
that
to
right there.
Blackness.
I feel like that right there should be like in a Warshawn Sire poem or on a T-shirt. She is important. I love it.
She's very important to
She's important to
Blackness.
Blackness. All right.
She is a keeper of Blackness.
Well, no, wait. Now, see, you say stuff like that, and then we got to ask more questions. I'm gonna cut you off so we can
I'm
all
not gonna
hear
say
all of it
anymore.
together. Because now y'all heard it. She's a keeper of so
She's a
many
keeper.
questions. I'm gonna wait.
No more.
I'm gonna wait because I don't want just look. I don't like to just like lick the frosting. I want a whole piece of cake. You feel me? What I'm saying? So I'm gonna wait for my next slice.
That was a
Um,
little mini cupcake.
okay, I'll take a
That
little
was
mini
it.
cupcake. Okay, well we will wait patiently for our next slice. But as speaking of cake, once again, happy birthday to you. My
Thank
apologies
you.
for my little numerical mix up there. For those
That's
of you who
okay.
want to bless Angel Monique, you can do so on Cash App at AMO504 5. Oh wait, I can't. My hand's not in the frame. 504 in that order, not the order that I had it in. And then also, if you go back to the actual Facebook page on the happy birthday post, you'll see that there is a link to an Amazon wish list, and make some of her wishes come true. Should you be so inclined, that is a good way to bless somebody and make them happy. And so, for the last part of that, oh wait a minute.
What did she say?
Your mom said the swallowing of the man is the reason I don't go in basements now. Did did this actually happen at some point?
No,
Okay.
it did not happen.
All right.
We're not
I'm
we're not that kind of family.
I'm gonna leave that
We're
alone.
not. We're not that kind of family.
If I walk
Mm-mm.
past your house and I hear I'm gonna know what's going on. I'm gonna know.
We're not. We're not that kind of family.
All right, tell me anything. Angel Monique, it is your birthday. And before we let you go, what do you have a birthday wish that you want to share with the audience? Is there a birthday wish or a shout out or something that you want to declare? I'm gonna go ahead and give the whole screen and the mic to you.
Um, I just want to say thank you so much, everybody who has been so kind and has gifted me. I really appreciate you all. Um, this has this birthday is not one of your monumental, you know, birthdays in the way that the world celebrates. However, thank you so much. Thank you, little. Um, this birthday is really a big deal for me, and it's really important. Some of you who were here early on last year know that last year was really difficult for me. I don't really, I've not shared that with a whole lot of people, but if you were here, then you know that when this show began, I was really sick. And were it not for God, I wouldn't be here this year. So this birthday is monumental for me in that way because God spared my life. So it's a big deal. And I am so happy to be here. And I'm so glad to be here with y'all. Um, I've made incredible connections. I didn't know most of you before this happened. And I have met incredible people who are really wonderful, who um, I am glad to count as family and friend and great folks. I have an incredible sisterhood, um, a trio that I am a part of who are some of the most phenomenal women that I've ever had the pleasure to know. And I am just happy and I am so thankful to God for my life. I'm just really glad to be here. I wish I had my glasses on because I swear I can't see any of these comments that are coming up on the screen. So you're gonna have to read them to me, Julian, because I don't even know where I put my glasses. But thank y'all so much.
Shakira says, so thankful for you, mommy. You're such a gift to so many of us. Happy
Thank
birthday
you, baby
again.
girl. Thank you.
Corey says, hallelujah. He kept you. Thank you, Jesus. I'm sure he's saying that a lot more vociferously
You
with,
know
with,
him.
right. Yeah. It's probably kind of some Baptist toning in that, but
You
I
know him. You know him.
yeah. And your mom says, thank you, Jesus, for my baby's life.
Thank you, mommy. Y'all, you know it's Thursday. It's Thursday, so you know I'm gonna cry. So
Yeah. I
y'all
was going to
just
say, it's a day that ends in Y, so you're probably going to
so
cry.
you know I'm gonna cry. Um, I appreciate you. Anyway, thank y'all. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate you celebrating me, and I decided that I was celebrating myself today because I am so glad to be here. It's been a really beautiful day, and I am so glad to be able to celebrate it with y'all. I could not think of very many better places that I could have been than here with y'all, and I sincerely mean that. So I love y'all, and thank you so much.
We love you, Angel, and thank you so much for sharing yourself with us and for sharing your work with us. And if people, is the perfect cookie still available?
The perfect cookie is still available. Please go buy it.
Please go back. And where can they find the perfect cookie? Hold up,
You can
I'm gonna put it on the screen so that everybody knows. I know it's www dot remind
azbco.com.
azbco.com.
We've got about 45 units left, 45 orders left.
Is this where they can get it?
Yep, that's where you can get it. I got
So
about
go to
45 orders left, and then they'll be
45
gone for a little while.
and they'll disappear. They'll be locked in the vault.
They'll be locked in the vault, and then there'll be cookie butter and dap cakes. You want those?
I am going to give I am going to give the last word in the comments to your mom. I love you more than my own life on my angel on earth.
I love you, mommy. You are the absolute best, and I could not have been born to anybody better. I am so grateful for you and every sacrifice that you have made, and every lesson that you've taught, and every bit of yourself that you have given to all of us. You are the absolute best person ever. I love you so much.
I'm gonna end this show so I can go in the other room and hug my mama. Angel, thank you so much for coming through. I'm gonna put you back in the green room and then we're gonna go ahead and close out. Um, Everybody, thank you. This has been episode 89. This was Angel's choice, and we are blessed and fortunate that she chose to. We got a little bit more of Crystal Wilkinson, but she chose to share a little bit more from her own story, The Tempering of Chocolate, which is just absolutely fantastic. Again, if you want to gift her a lesser little something, it's hashtag AMO 504 504 AMO 504. Go ahead and make that happen. And again, I want to thank all of you for making the book drive a success. We were able to get 145 Black authored books in the hands of 145 Black kids. We are absolutely thrilled with that, and we're going to do it again without question. Now, last little bit of housekeeping that I got to tell you guys. This is episode 89. Sometime this weekend between now and Sunday, I'm going to drop a bonus episode. It'll probably be pre-recorded. I see I'm frozen, so let's go boom there. I'm going to drop a bonus episode. It's going to be pre-recorded. That will be episode 90. And then after that, we're going to take a 2-week break. I need a little bit of time, 2 weeks for sure. It might be a little bit longer, but the plan is for a 2-week break. I need a little bit of time to revamp, to regroup, and to make some important changes. And then we are going to be in the countdown to 100 episodes. We are there. Like, we have been doing this for a year now. So we're going to be at the countdown to 100 episodes. And I can't wait to share that all important milestone with you all. So in preparation for that, we're just going to take a little bit of time and take a break. Okay. That is it. This has been Storytime with Julian, episode 89, and we're going to bring it to a close. We will be opening up an after story in a little bit. So for those of you all who are here, you can take part in that. Thank all of you for sharing this time with us. Thank you again, Angel Monique, and happy birthday. Trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. So with that, we're going to bring it to a close.